Hey Eagles fans, I'm Thomas Mudd. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now, and today let's go ahead and break down the latest Philadelphia Eagles news and rumors here on a Thursday. There's a lot of interesting stuff in terms of some people are talking about this, some people are talking about that. What is actually real, what is actually fake? We're going to break it all down right now, starting with, to me, the most interesting storyline of the week, and that is Miles Sanders wanting to be and predicting he will be the MVP of the National Football League. Not the MVP of the Eagles, which is very possible at his current state as being one of the biggest offensive threats Philadelphia has. Not just MVP of Philadelphia, MVP of the entire National Football League. Like Patrick Mahomes MVP level, like best player in the National Football League. So here's the deal. Miles Sanders, of course, enters this year as his sophomore running back. It's his second year in Philadelphia, drafted last year by the Eagles out of Penn State, and had a very good rookie season. We'll get more into that here in just a second. We're expecting him to become a star. You're expecting him to become a star, and Miles Sanders himself is expecting to become the next great Eagles running back. You go back to Brian Westbrook and LaShawn McCoy. There've been a lot of very good running backs in Philadelphia. The thing is, though, Miles Sanders is not just talking about being great, as we said. He wants to be the NFL MVP. So here's what Miles Sanders said during an Instagram workout this past week, saying, quote, "My confidence is through the roof, and I know what I can do for this team. I ain't apologizing for saying that, just don't be surprised when it happened." Now that, of course, stems after when he said that is going to have an MVP season. He mentioned the words MVP during his Instagram live video, which a lot of people are going, can that be possible? Is that a real thing? Is he just being ridiculous? Is he just, being a typical NFL player who wants to be the best player he possibly can be? Well, if you look at the stats, now you look at the overall stats first, you look at 2019, you go, okay, these are not MVP level stats from a running back. Now, it was his rookie year, I understand this, but just straight off the bat, 179 carries, 818 yards, and 4.6 yards per carry and 3 touchdowns is not enough to be an MVP. So based off of last year, you'd go, okay, even if he made a big jump, let's say he got another 300 yards rushing, another 5 touchdowns, that's still a pretty, decent year for a running back, 1,000 yards rushing, and let's call it 8 touchdowns. That's still not an MVP level season. However, if you actually go game by game, and I encourage you guys, if you don't believe that Miles Sanders can be an MVP, to look up his game by game stats, his game logs from 2019, you'll see that the first half of the year, the Eagles hardly utilized him. A lot of times it was 7 carries, 8 carries, 12 carries, maybe 15 carries those first 8 weeks. Then suddenly, I think the light clicked for both Philadelphia and Doug Peterson, and also for Miles Sanders, and he started having big games. Look at his biggest game last year, Week 14 at Washington. This was the game where he had that crazy catch, the back of the end zone, very Santonio Holmes-like in the Super Bowl for the Steelers. 19 carries, 120 yards, 6 catches, 50 yards receiving, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he was absolutely fantastic in that game and shows that, hey, he can be a dual threat running back to the likes of Christian McCaffrey, right? That's his goal, is to be like Christian McCaffrey, is to be like a Saquon Barkley. And if he plays like he did through the second half of the season, then he's going to have a very good shot at not just being a 1,000-yard rusher, but being one of the best backs in the National Football League. Can he technically be the NFL MVP? Sure, anyone could. Like, anyone on the Eagles could be the NFL MVP if they had a good enough year. Like, J.J. Whiteside could ball out and be the NFL MVP. It's not going to happen, but there's still a chance. Sanders, though, has a high enough chance in terms of the rest of the Eagle players to actually do it, especially with the running back depth chart as it currently is. And we're going to talk more about this in a second, but if you look at the running back depth chart right now in Philadelphia, Sanders is the workhorse. I mean, Clement's going to get his touches, and obviously I think Boston Scott's going to do what he did, the final 4 games of last year, but this is Sanders' running back room. This is Sanders' football team from a running back perspective. If this stays as it is currently, there's a very real chance that Sanders could have 250, maybe even 300 total touches, maybe up to 400 total touches in terms of catching and running. And who knows? If he has an MVP season, that'd be great. It seems like a long shot, but there's a guy who's looking to break out. I think the Eagle fans are very, very excited about that overall. Now, question for you guys. Can Miles Sanders actually be an MVP candidate in 2020? Easy. Type Y down below for yes. Type N down below for no. I want to hear from you guys regarding this question right now. All right, moving on. More stuff is going on regarding the Eagles in the running back spot. And look, guess what? Stuff we talked about last week is actually getting reported now in terms of being actually factual. So remember, a couple weeks ago, I think it was last week, there were reports from, I think it was Adam Kaplan. The Eagles were very interested in a running back, and specifically a running back named Carlos Hyde. Well, that apparently has not come to fruition yet, and so maybe the Eagles have turned their sights on to Devonta Freeman, who reportedly is drawing interest from both them, Philadelphia, Seattle, and the New York Jets. Now, the Eagles, of course, need an extra running back. We just talked about it. Even with Sanders wanting to ball out, adding another running back would be helpful to that overall running back group. The question is, how much will he cost, and how good could Devonta Freeman actually be? Before I show you exactly what CBS Sports, who of course, broke this stuff, had to say about this. I want you guys to go ahead and subscribe to Philadelphia Eagles now. We just hit 10,000 subs, so congrats to everybody. We hit 10,000 subs, which is crazy, but we're trying to, grow. 11,000, 12,000, 15,000. Go ahead and click the red subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it. So here's what CBS Sports had to say, quoting, of course, I think it was Silver, Mike Silver here, who has the original story. Quote, per Silver, the base salary for Devonta Freeman was less than $3 million, but the deal in total could have been up to $4 million. Freeman reportedly decided to turn down the offer. While the Seahawks have apparently extended an actual offer, the New York Jets and Philadelphia Eagles have also shown interest in Freeman. So he's talking originally, of course, about Devonta Freeman being a Seattle Seahawk. That was supposed to have happened last week. Apparently, they offered him, right about $4 million. That could have been the max contract that he could have had. He didn't like it. He wants more money, so Seattle has now offered a new deal. But as you saw in the bottom part of that quote, the Jets and Eagles are both interested in Devonta Freeman. Now, again, we talked about Freeman on the channel as early as last week. Last year, wasn't great. 184 carries, 656 yards, and the big problem, 3.6 yards per carry. That's it, 3.6 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns. They hardly used Devonta Freeman in Atlanta last year. All of the injuries have started to add up, and we have the list of them all, right? He had the pedal foot bruise in 2018, along with the hernia, which was the big problem in 2018, MCL, PCL sprains in 2017, 2 concussions in 2017. He's just not been healthy, and that's a big problem for a lot of running backs who are still young and still technically might have it, but just can't stay healthy in the football field due to both upper and lower body injuries. Now, I compare Devonta Freeman to a guy like Jay Ajayi, who, of course, had his share of injuries and then came on, had one good year in Philadelphia before leaving and then coming back and then eventually leaving again. Maybe he turns out to be a Devonta Freeman, or sorry, I just blanked on his name, a Jay Ajayi type player, that J train, right? The thick base, quick running back who can also run downhill, but at the same time, the Eagles running back depth chart could use somebody who can continue to be healthy, and that's why I think the Eagles are interested, but more than likely probably not going to go ahead and do the deal for a guy like Devonta Freeman. Now, I would rather have Carlos Hyde, and I want to ask you guys the same question. Freeman or Hyde? Who would you guys rather have? Type F down below for Freeman, type H down below for Hyde in the comment section right now. Also, there's still a great deal right now at this. I mean, this is a great overall Eagles t-shirt. Did you guys see this Eagles Pennsylvania t-shirt? It's the Pennsylvania State with the Eagles logo on it. It's $24.99 right now at chatsports.com/Eagles shirt. The link is in the description right now. It's a great overall deal and a really cool shirt. I might have to pick myself up one of those right now and wear it on the show, maybe whenever it comes in the mail in a couple of weeks. Overall, encourage you guys to jump on this, chatsports.com/Eagles shirt. All authentic. All the Eagle gear we show you guys here is always authentic, so go ahead, find the link, and check out the Pennsylvania Eagle logo shirt right now. Final bit of news here. The Eagles actually got some praise for their offseason signings, but the offseason signings are not what you would expect, because a lot of people will look at the Eagles offseason and go, oh, Javon Hargrave, oh my goodness, Darius Slay. They made some really good defensive signings overall. However, ESPN's Field Yates pointed out that Will Parks and Nickel Roby-Coleman are 2 of the best signings in the entire National Football League, which had me kind of interested, and so I want to share with you guys exactly what I guess Field Yates is thinking in terms of Philadelphia and these moves. Before we do that, though, I'll just ask, what was the best Eagles free agent signing? Overall, I've asked this before. I want to see the answer again. What was the best Eagles free agent signing of the entire offseason? You can probably go ahead and include, let's just include the draft and include trades as well, right? Was it Marquise Goodwin? Was it a draft pick, Jalen Reagor, or was it a free agent signing? Who was the best Eagles free agent signing? Let me know in the comments section. While I go ahead and read you what ESPN's Field Yates had to say about the Eagles and the 2 secondary players they added that you and I mean, I'm not very high on them, but apparently ESPN is. Quote, the Philadelphia Eagles added 2 players to their secondary. Slot corner Nickel Roby-Coleman and safety Will Parks, each for less than $3 million combined for this year. Even though neither projects to start, the Eagles know the importance of depth in the secondary after theirs was tested so severely last season, and each player adds pedigree to this group. Okay, so he's not wrong, and I get why. I guess if you're writing an article for ESPN talking about the most underrated signings, that this one is pretty underrated, because I've talked a lot about how people are saying, oh, we got Roby-Coleman, he's going to be the slot guy, and oh, Will Parks, the next Brian Dawkins, neither of which are true. I think if you throw up my actual expected depth chart, it shows that neither of these guys will start, just like Phil Yates said, but that doesn't mean that depth is not important. I predict Slay and Maddox to be the outside cornerbacks. I think Sidney Jones is best geared for the slot. That's where he will live. And then, of course, your safeties will be Jalen Mills and Roddy McLeod. Now, Will Parks will play backup safety, play some special teams, and probably, with injuries, be able to get in and play some very important safety starting time. And if Sidney Jones stinks like he has the past couple of years, then maybe Nickel Roby-Coleman is the savior there at nickel. He plays a nickel slot cornerback spot, and balls out and helps Philadelphia go ahead and win, right? I mean, this is the whole idea of these underrated offseason signings, ones that we're not going to flash a lot about and not talk a lot about, and I really have not been a big fan. Not that I wasn't a big fan of either one of them, they just weren't as exciting as some Eagle fans made it seem like, but ESPN does have a good point. The Eagles were decimated in the secondary last year. Had they had Will Parks and Nickel Roby-Coleman, they probably could have won 1 or 2 more games just based on secondary play. And so the Eagles addressing that for very, very cheap, less than $3 million combined for the year, is a great overall move for Philadelphia, which hopefully again shores up the injury issue, which you go back to hopefully not having injuries at the in the first place. That way these guys don't even play. That way the starters are healthy. But I digress. I'm getting a little rant here, a little train. So we'll go ahead and wrap this show up. There you guys go. Latest Eagles news and rumors. The big one, of course, is it's Miles Sanders. I don't know what you guys think about Miles Sanders and what he can do, right? I mean, again, we asked the question. I'm going to read in the comments. Can Miles Sanders be an MVP? I hope so. Is it possible? Who knows? There you go. All the time we have for today on Philadelphia Eagles Now. I'm Thomas Mott signing off for the rest of your day.